Today on the bench is this Drake model TR-4 sideband transceiver. A little history on this. I received this from a really good friend probably about 18, maybe even 20 years ago. He is not a ham radio operator, but he received it from I believe either a distant family member or a good friend of his who was, and they had it in storage for many years. He took it, he kept it in storage for many years, and I don't think I ever told him that I was a ham radio nerd, but somehow that information got leaked to him. He found out, contacted me, and he says he had this plus a Swan, which I will discuss in a later video. But the Drake being one that I really liked even since the 1980s when I first got into ham radio, caught my eye right away. And so when I first received this, I slowly powered it up with a variac, knowing that these things had some really old capacitors in the power supply, and it worked perfectly. I literally ran this thing on the living room floor with an antenna cable going out the slider into the backyard to the beam. And for probably about 3 or 4 hours, I made quite a few contacts throughout the United States and Europe. It was a very good performer. However, like now, even way back then, I have been running this Yaesu FT101E X plus a few other radios. This has kind of been my bread and butter system for quite some time, and so wasn't really too keen on giving that up. I do like the FT101. So what I'd like to do is temporarily disconnect the FT101 and run this Drake. It has been on the shelf just a little bit too long. I think it's time for it to go through some paces. So anyway, before I get into what the issue is, let me open up the top of this thing. It's in very good condition. I believe when it was in storage with the previous owner, he kept it in a fairly dust-free environment. And I didn't really do much cleaning when I got it. It just kind of blew out a little bit of surface dust. And when I put it in storage, I kind of covered the whole thing in a blanket, and there it sat for all those years. So there's a little bit of discoloring on the copper chassis, but that's really no big deal. For those of us that are into vintage amateur radio, we know that we've seen some seriously horrible basket cases. This is like pristine compared to many of them, so no complaints. And I'm not going to go through all the work of taking the final cage off, but you can see it's all in there. It's fairly clean, and so I don't think I'm going to have too many issues with that. Before migrating onto any servicing with the power supply, I do plan on opening the bottom of this, and if there's any other capacitors, things like this, I'm going to upgrade those things so I don't have to deal with any funny smoke coming out of the back of the radio. So let's see, moving on. All right, the MS4 speaker. There is zero issue with this. The speaker itself is in top condition. It does not have any static issues. The coil seems to be operating quite fine around the magnet, so I'm not having any concerns or anticipations of swapping that out. Now, moving on to the power supply, which is the AC4. This is what I got to work on. All right. I do not want to deal with slowly powering this thing up with a variac, and plus I can't even imagine how difficult it would be to replace that transformer if that thing got blown out due to shorted out capacitors. So my plan is to purchase a couple of those modules from an AC4 rebuild kit and have those things installed. I've heard nothing but good things about them. And if any of you who are watching this video have any bad experience with those, or any suggestions or positive experiences, I'd love to hear from you. I do plan on purchasing those things in the next couple of days, so drop me a line in the comments, yay or nay, or anything you have to say about those modules. Let's see, underneath it looks pretty good. There's, again, just like the TR-4, it's pretty clean. And obviously I do plan on testing all these capacitors and the resistors, so nothing's gonna slide by me on any of this stuff. I want this thing to operate rock solid like the FT101 did after I rebuilt it. By the way, quick little side note on this FT101. That's a little bit of a story. In fact, I'm probably going to make a separate video about this altogether. When I got this thing, well, in fact, let me tell you, this thing was originally purchased by a ham radio operator, of course, way back when. I don't know if the second owner got it in an estate sale or how it ended up in the second owner's hands, but they just ripped this thing to shreds with the golden screwdriver and turned it into a CB unit. So all the alignment for 10 meters and 20 meters and 15 meters were just absolutely obliterated. It took me a couple of months to get that all figured out and straightened out, along with replacing all the capacitors and all the necessary thing to keep the power supply intact for long-term use. So no CB operator got a hold of that monitor scope, but I have rebuilt that as well, just so it can be stable in for long-term use. Anyway, I want to do the exact same thing with all of this, so I can operate it without a hitch. So I do have a question for you guys that are watching this video. I know there's quite a few of you out there that have actually gone through this and have rebuilt the TR-4 and the AC-4 power supply. If you have any suggestions, please drop a note in the comments and suggest what you think I should do, what I shouldn't do, if I should put blue lights in it, if I shouldn't put blue lights in it. I don't know why people do that. I mean, they look cool. I might do it, I don't know. But I'd like to hear from others about any modifications that would be of a benefit to long-term operation for the TR-4. So, all right, well, the video's gone up to almost 7.5, 8 minutes. I appreciate your guys' attention and look forward to hearing from all of you. 73.